What is up, guys? Wrestling Premier is here. Okay, when I think of the biggest flops of the 10s, there's a bunch of players and people I think of in general. They fail to accustom to the climate or environment they're in, and they tend to fail rather than adapt. Hell, some fail because their teammates don't even invite them to dinner. Examples of busts throughout many sports include Mario Götze, Jose Rodriguez, Johnny Manziel, Jamarcus Russell, who I believe is the worst of them all, Anthony Bennett. I could talk about them all day, but this is a wrestling channel. And then there's Mystico, better known in some places as Cara. The moment he put pen to paper, I was personally excited to see him. I didn't know about his past stuff because I was a kid at the time and stuff like that. But I was like, hey, he wears a mask, he hits high-flying moves, he must be cool. I personally believed he was going to replace Rey Mysterio, but boy was I wrong. The company still struggles to find a replacement for Rey to this day. Who knows, maybe Angel Garza and Andrade, who knows? Now, Mystico wasn't just some guy who WWE poached. He was one of the biggest draws in Mexico. As a matter of fact, I believe he was the biggest draw in general. He was an awesome wrestler, and the company was certainly confident in him. In this video, I'll cover Cara, Mystico, not Hunico's run as the masked luchador. Right now, let's get into it. Now, if you didn't know this well, Mystico is perhaps the best talent outside WWE during the 2000s. Wrestling Observer newsletter readers ranked him as the best box office draw throughout the entire 2000s, and he won the Wrestler of the Year award in 2006 over the likes of Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe. I believe these were fan votes, so it wasn't Meltzer. So clearly he was something. He won a bunch of titles all over the world, such as the CMLL World Tag Team Championships on 4 occasions, the CMLL World Welterweight Championship once. He won a couple of tournaments there, and he even captured the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. So he certainly had a bunch of accomplishments under his belt before signing with the company. At this point, WWE was looking to expand in the Latin market, and with Rey Mysterio suffering injury after injury, they were preparing for the future, hence the signing of Alberto El Patron and Mystico. At that time, it seemed like the future wasn't good. No. Great hands. On January 30th, 2011, Mystico agreed to terms with World Wrestling Entertainment. It was eventually confirmed on February 24th, but unfortunately though, this is where the problems begin. So let me explain some things. Upon signing with the company, the usual procedure was for the individual to go down to FCW, hone their skills, get used to the WWE style, then get called up. Well, Mystico flat out refused to go to Tampa. He demanded to debut on the main roster. Another reason why they wanted him down there was because he needed to learn English in order to do appearances, interviews, who knows, maybe a talk show, you never know. They wanted him as a good marketing tool, basically. Also, he needed to communicate with the wrestlers, all that stuff. But he decided to take the Carlos Tevez route, and if you know about this, and not learn English. He just wanted to wrestle, that's all. In early 2011, vignettes aired of the highly touted signee. He was treated like a really big deal, and believe it or not, he was one of the first projects Triple H had in the company. So obviously, he had a lot riding on this one. After weeks of hyping his debut, Cara finally appeared on WWE TV on the Raw after WrestleMania 27. He interrupted Sheamus' assault on Daniel Bryan, and the moment he dived into the ring, he botched. Other than that, he showcased some of his talents, and all was forgotten, I guess. I mean, he did impress. Obviously, you're going to remember the botch, but you're going to see some of those moves he did. You're going to be like, damn, this guy, he's pretty good. Now, I'm going to be honest. During this time period of WWE, I don't remember guys doing these types of moves. The closest there was, and if my memory serves me right, was only Evan Bourne. Although there may have been someone else, I'm not sure, other than Ray and Evan. They used to hit these kinds of moves, but yeah, Cara was pretty unique at the time in the company. Upon his actual debut, Cara was treated like a big deal, but his matches, they were forgettable. Forgettable for the action itself, memorable for Cara's botches. He couldn't time the jump during the entrance, the trampoline thing. He was inconsistent. One moment he hit the slickest moves, but the next he was a deer in the headlights. Well, I guess they were just small errors. In the coming weeks, Cara teamed up with John Cena and he feuded with Chavo Guerrero. They drafted him to SmackDown in order for him to be comfortable because SmackDown was taped at the time. That's my assumption. They also had some weird lighting for his matches in order to make him stand out. The funny part is that some speculated this was to cover his botches. But yeah, the lighting was weird. I feel like it harmed him more than it helped him. Shortly afterwards, Cara continued to botch and he was eventually suspended for violating the wellness policy. Mystico believed that this was due to a doctor's injection containing steroids that he was suspended. That's what he believed, but I guess the story never stuck because they would have brought him back before the suspension ended. Upon his return, Cara was finally featured in a storyline, This was perhaps the only storyline Sin Cara had in his WWE career. This story was so weird, yet I kind of enjoyed it, although it wasn't really that great because of the way it was booked. I kind of did like the story there. On the August 30th, 2011 episode of SmackDown, Sin Cara showed some newfound aggression. What this meant was Sin Cara was finally back on Booker T's Fave 5, which for some reason included everyone on the SmackDown roster, I swear. Booker every week. I remember he said something about Alicia Fox. Oh, she might be in my Fave 5. She wins. Oh, he's always in my Fave 5. Hell, you the viewer might be on his Fave 5 for all I know. Anyways, Sin Cara's match that night went smoothly. To my memory, he never botched. Well, I'll explain that later on, but for now, let me mention what happened afterwards. In the end, Sin Cara was victorious, and after the match, he shook Mr. Money in the Bank's hand, when all of a sudden, he kicked him right in the face, and Booker was stunned. From here on, Sin Cara showed off a very ruthless side, but it was then revealed to not be him a couple of weeks later. That explains why there wasn't that many botches in those matches. Those two, Sin Cara, the real one, and the fake one, went face to face. Booker was perplexed and he revealed a theory of his. The real Sin Cara has some sort of black mark on his boots. And seriously, that got a laugh out of me. And please go check it out if you haven't. Michael Cole was corpsing. He was holding his laughter for his life. Anyways, eventually the fake one decided to wear black and they faced off in 2 matches. The story was a bit of a mystery initially, but it was then revealed that Sin Cara Negro was out to take Azul's identity because that's what he claims happened to him. Basically, Black Sin Cara, the bad guy, lost the rights to the Mystico name back in 2005, and so that is what the feud was about, although they never outright mentioned the name itself. It all culminated in a mask versus mask match on the October 21st, 2011 episode of SmackDown in Mexico City, Mexico. The good guy, the botchy one, was victorious, and so Sin Cara Negro was forced to unmask. I honestly don't know why Booker T was shocked to see a face. I think he was expecting a hamster under there or something. But then he did say that Sin Cara Negro was ugly though, so yeah. Following this feud, Sin Cara suffered an injury at Survivor Series 2011. The injury was a patellar tendon rupture, and it was already bad enough that he was botching, and sometimes it wasn't his fault. He got suspended, and now he was going to be sidelined. It was definitely missing WrestleMania 28. I remember hearing rumors that he was going to face Rey Mysterio, who was also sidelined, and it's such a shame it never happened. I also believe, and this is something I'm pretty sure many heard, was that WWE was hell-bent on breaking the most people wearing a mask record in one area or something like that, which in itself is bizarre, but whatever. But yeah, Reigns Sin Cara at WrestleMania, maybe that could have righted the ship for his career. Maybe he would have gotten motivated. Maybe he would have said, you know what, I'm going to learn the style, I'm going to excel at it. But it never happened. I mean, all it takes is one match and you're all good. Who knows? Now, his first year, Sin Cara, it was just so unlucky, and it could be attributed to his lack of communication skills. And also, there's the fact that he just couldn't adapt to the WWE style. But I bet he was breaking bank with this t-shirt out on the streets. But seriously, about his merchandise, Mystico was a merch seller, and it would have been stupid of them to give up so soon. Upon his return, Sin Cara was no longer wearing blue or white. He was wearing red. In order to get himself and Rey Mysterio in form, they were placed in a tag team together. This was going to lead to that matchup between the two at WrestleMania 29, but both men actually got injured. And plus, it didn't seem like the company was building towards it. So after this, Sin Cara was back to being a singles competitor, and nothing of note was going on. But then, on the August 19th, 2013 episode of Raw, Sin Cara, during a match against Alberto Del Rio, broke his finger. He refused to continue the match, and so this pissed off Del Rio, who continued the assault. Rumor has it this annoyed many in the back, and at this point, Sin Cara was basically in the past. He himself wasn't motivated anymore, and Del Rio in an interview literally said that Sin Cara gets injured talking. Just had to mention it. Eventually, both parties came to terms, and WWE released him on March 26, 2014. He had signed with AAA a month earlier, and so this run was basically a disappointment. Not only a disappointment, a massive disappointment, a bust. He had an unfortunate run, Mystico. His form all of a sudden changed. He was one of the best in the world to a nobody. Nowadays, he's in CMLL, and he wrestles in a bunch of promotions in Mexico. I haven't really heard of him much since the release, but I heard he's doing decent. I also believe he's a current tag team champion there. On his run, Sin Cara had a few words to say. This is about the English language, by the way, and I quote, "I don't speak it. The truth is, I don't like that language. I could speak Japanese to you all I want. Before I wrestled as Mystico, I wrestled in Japan for 2 years, and I love that language, and I keep studying it. I never studied English. I don't like the English language. You shouldn't need to communicate in the ring. The wrestling should do all the talking. The fans need to feel like everything isn't planned ahead, and not knowing English didn't scare me. I wasn't scared when Darren Young and his partner Titus O'Neil told me that I don't know any English. During a match, I slapped him and said, I don't need to know English. I'm a wrestler, not a clown. I may be an acrobat, but this is my job. Okay, this is funny to me. Now, if I'm wrestling in Spain, you'll be damn sure I'd master the language in order to excel at my job. Anyways, Sin Cara in general, he was doomed to fail. He never got the WWE style. It just didn't mesh well with him. And that's not a problem on his part because I've seen a bunch of sports players fail to adapt to a system. They're accustomed to something else and it just doesn't work out sometimes. Doesn't matter how good you are, if there's a bad system there, you're just not going to be good enough for that place. And plus, WWE is not the be-all end-all for a Mexican wrestler, a luchador, or basically anyone. He could have gone anywhere and who knows, maybe he would have succeeded. Now, there's 3 things that went wrong with Sin Cara's run. Either WWE is limiting him and he just gave up, or maybe he just refused to put in the work in order to be a success. What do you think? Personally, I'd compare him to Fernando Torres. Now, if you know this guy used to be one of the best soccer players in the world. Both guys were some of the very best in their profession, but the moment they moved away from their team or company, they were never the same. And there you have it. Overall, Sin Cara, disappointing run. Some of it's his fault, some of it isn't. But yes, it was just a bad run for him overall, and that's what I feel like. He just couldn't adapt to the WWE style, and it was just a wrong choice to sign him overall. It was a waste of money, to be honest, but yeah, actually it wasn't a waste of money because the merchandise sold. But yes, overall, Sin Cara in WWE, bad luck. It's like Bret Hart in WCW. The circumstances just aren't good at the moment. So yes, that's your first video. This video would have been longer, but Sin Cara doesn't have any promos or storylines, hence the short length. Yes, if it was someone else's video, would have definitely been longer. That's your first video. Make sure you hit a... What the hell are his moves? Peace, I'm out.